Hey everybody, welcome back to Cheap Knife Week, Volume 5. This is Episode 4, and this is Gideon stuff. Today we're taking a look at the SOG, or the, pardon me, the SOG Adventurer LB. This is actually a pretty cool little knife. I think this is going to be a fun review. If you don't know what Cheap Knife Week is, well, this is a week where I review 5 different knives under $30, and we compare them against themselves on Saturday, and compare them against each other on Saturday, and we rank them from best to worst. All right, let's go ahead and get this started with a blade length measurement. Blade length coming in here, just, we're going to call that, I was going to say just under 3 inches. We might call that, you know what? Yeah, just a hair under 3 inches. Overall, blade length, all the way back to scales, 3 inches pretty much on the dot. So not a large knife by any means. Let's bring out our size comparisons. Here is the Rat 2. They're very similar in size. And here's the Rat 1. Why do I always bring the 2 out before the 1? I have no idea, but such is life. There we go. Let's go ahead and grab our USA made comparisons. Here's a Spyderco PM2 and the Benchmade Bug Out. Sweet. Let's grab our good old Civivis. Here is the Elementum. Again, very similar in size between those two. And here is the Praxis. Sweet. I do not have any other SOGs to compare this against. Used to have a SOG cash card, but channel members know what happened to that thing. However, we will compare it against the other knives that we have reviewed this season so far. There is the Mossy Oak Mini Tonto Thumb Holder Knife. Terrible name. Here's the Smith & Wesson Big Benji. And here is the Camillus Chiller. And I guess we'll bring out one more knife just because I have this one on the table. Here is the CRKT Squid XM. Awesome. Very, very cool. What are we looking at for our materials on this guy? Well, we have a 5CR blade, and we've got plastic scales. This is a lockback with a steel pocket clip running on Teflon washers. Let's go cut some stuff. Cheap Knife Week, Volume 5, Episode 4, the SOG Adventurer LB. Let's go ahead and talk about, let's start off that action. So, back lock, we're running on Teflon washers. Very nice, smooth, slow roll, and you can actually flick it out very easily too. Overall, very nice backlock action. I don't really have too many complaints with it at all. It is a two-handed close because we have a tail lock here. I mean, I guess you could, do that, but it's a little bit awkward. But yeah, very, very solid action for what it is. So about those ergos. Injection molded scales with some interesting, kind of raindrop texturing. We are contoured. This thing actually feels really nice in the hand. That clip, I feel it a little bit, but not too bad. Through use, this actually feels like a very well-balanced knife. The handle matches the blade quite a bit in terms of control and balance. Yeah, I like it. It's pretty good. Ergos, I would say probably a B+. Good job there. All right, how does it carry? Well, this thing is super lightweight. We do have a reversible pocket clip. This is the only knife of Cheap Knife Week this round that has a reversible pocket clip. So thank you, SOG, for looking out for the lefties. They appreciate it. The knife itself, very, very lightweight, very compact, pretty slim. It carries very, very nicely. You can get your hand in there and, it tucks in the back of the pocket pretty well. The pocket clip is a little bit grabby. It's not the worst thing ever, but it is a little bit grabby. However, it's not something that I would say is, it's not like as bad as cold steel, for example, but it is a little bit of a grabby pocket clip. I would think that could be adjusted a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and cut some stuff. Let's grab us a piece of cardboard here. So we have a hollow ground 5CR drop point blade that slices beautifully. This is an incredible slicer. You can get to that tip. Let's tilt down here a little bit better. You can get to that tip very easily. Yeah, this thing just cuts like a champ. Big fan of that. All right, let's do the rope pull. Okay, all right, felt decent. 1, okay. 2. Whoa. 3. Okay, yeah, that did pretty well. I will say, when I was pressing down, I feel some give in that lock, which I don't love. But I don't think it's that much of an issue right now. Just a little bit of a flex. All right, let's go ahead and cut our pool noodle. 1, oh my goodness. 2, holy cow. That felt so clean going through those cuts. And look at this, oh my goodness. Look at that. Super thin, clean the entire way. That is the best performer so far. And actually, that's a standout pool noodle cutting in general, not just for Cheap Knife Week. That's a really good geometry on this edge. Yeah, I like it quite a bit. All right, there you go. Some beauty shots. And let's get back to the table. Alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this knife. Number 1, so this is a knife that's coming from a pretty well-known brand, SOG, and this knife feels a little more designed than some of the other knives we're looking at this season. And what I mean by that is, I don't know, it feels like someone sat down and really thought out this knife, and they really took their time designing it and really thinking about what they wanted this knife to accomplish. It feels like someone had a purpose before designing this knife. And that is something that I'm definitely acutely aware of. I can feel that, and I appreciate that. So that's cool. The knife itself is very plain overall, but it's a lightweight knife meant for like hiking and adventuring and things like that. So I think that's really cool. The ergonomics on this knife are really nice, actually. This clip does not bother me in the hand too bad. The scales are kind of sophisticated. You can see here that we're contoured. We've got this dimpling in here with these rays. We've got these chamfered edges. The knife feels very good in hand. I appreciate that a lot, especially for a knife that's so, kind of narrow and slender. It's got decent ergonomics. I also like that this here works as a kind of a guard to keep you from sliding up on the blade. It's a nice little feature. Appreciate that. I also like that with this little chamfer in here, they're giving you plenty of access to these thumb studs, which are very comfortable thumb studs. Let's go ahead and talk about the action. This knife is very easy to use. It's very smooth. You've seen me flick it. It's very easy to flick. This is a good backlock action, especially running on Teflon washers. I appreciate it. The action is more than serviceable. It's pretty darn good. Next thing, this backlock is very easy to manipulate. We've got a little bit of jimping back here. This is a two-hand knife because this is a tail lock, but I don't really think that's terrible. Next thing, the pocket clip is reversible. So here's the clip. Nothing amazing on the clip as far as the design goes, but it is reversible. I appreciate that. I think this is the only knife. Yeah, this is the only knife this season that has a reversible clip, and that makes this a completely ambidextrous knife. We've got dual thumb studs. The spine lock is obviously accessible just as easily with your left hand as your right, and that clip is reversible. I like that a whole lot. Let's talk about this blade. 5CR steel. Ugh. It's not amazing stuff. But the blade itself is really good. We got a very nice drop point here with a hollow grind. Look at that nasty razor thin edge. This thing does cut exceptionally well. It really does. Now, it does not hold an edge very long. I have been hitting this on a strop and a ceramic rod for the last couple of days. But let's see. Actually, it's in good shape right now. Little rough right there, but it's actually in pretty good shape. However, I did notice that through use, I did stop a couple of times to strop this knife up, but that's kind of what you get with 5CR, right? It's kind of to be expected. The hardware is pretty nice. This knife can be taken apart, and this knife is very lightweight. So if you're looking for a lightweight knife, this is a good option on a budget. We have no liners. It's just the scales, the spring with the blade, and you're all set. I do like that this is a back lock. Now, I had some concerns with the back lock because I could feel sometimes when I was using it, and you guys will have seen this in the review cutting, I felt some flex in the lock. But I took the knife and I did a bunch of spine whacking, and it didn't fail. I almost said it didn't pass. It didn't fail, which is good. And I think that's something about back locks is they can kind of be self-adjustable over time. So, even though this for sure probably is not the strongest back lock in the history of back locks, I think it's reliable enough. And for a $15 knife, that might be all you need. And the other thing too, though, is I don't really think you're going to be using this knife super hard. Again, this geometry is incredibly thin. This knife is for doing knife stuff, making small, precise cuts, and that is A-okay. All right, let's go ahead and get onto some of the things that I don't like. Number one, the sharpening choil on this is noticeably very, very sucking. You can probably see that shadow from when I've been hitting this on ceramic rod. We're not hitting back here. I just haven't bothered getting all the way back here. When I do sharpen, probably going to try and take all that off. The plunge grind actually is not bad. The plunge grind is actually really good, but the sharpening job from the factory, they just did not grind that off all the way. So, it's a little bit upsetting. The pocket clip, I am not a fan of this pocket clip. It's very, very grabby. It's too prominent. It sticks up a little bit too much. I do not like this clip. Again, I like that it's reversible. The clip itself, not my favorite thing ever. It could definitely use a redesign for sure. Again, the flex and the lock, that could be considered a negative, but again, the lock never failed on me, so even though it's probably not going to last forever, $15 knife, right? And then there's some fit and finish issues. Like you can see here, the gapping around the pivot is pretty extreme. You can see it is centered though, which is nice. You can see we've got some, fitment errors with some of the plastic around here. The back lock, when the knife is open, you can see this area is a little bit clunky. We got a lip there, and the back lock is sticking up a little bit further on one side than it should on the other side. But really, at $15, these aren't things that I feel like complaining about at all. And so let's go ahead and move on to my final conclusions. Final conclusions, I really like this knife. Now, there are probably some things that I would, again, with everything Cheap Knife Week, if this knife was being sold for $30 to $50, I'd have a lot more to say maybe about fit and finish and stuff, but seeing as how it is a $15 knife from Tractor Supply, I'm actually pretty darn impressed. Do I recommend this knife? Actually, yes. If you see this knife at Tractor Supply and you feel compelled to pick it up, I don't think you'll regret it. For 15 bucks, this is a darn good knife. I think this is a great knife for a kid. This is a great knife for a kid to learn knife skills with. This is a great knife for them to learn how to sharpen on. Again, we've got some safety features like that guard right here. The fact that this forces you to close two-handed. That's a great safety feature when it comes to kid knives. And, you know, learning how to properly handle a knife is an important skill for a kid, I believe. So I think this would be a great option for that. And even beyond that, if you want to get a knife that's super lightweight to maybe throw into a 72-hour kit or an emergency kit in your car or something like that, this is not a bad option. It's very lightweight. It's not going to take up much room. You know, even when it's folded up, it's very, very narrow and compact. And it is a good knife. This blade, like I said, I'm really impressed with this blade. I think this is a fantastic performer. But yeah, this is actually a pretty cool little knife. And we're going to go ahead and leave you guys with that. But before I leave you in general, I got to give you a sneak peek of what's coming tomorrow. And right there, you guys all probably know what it is immediately. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be a fun one. Anyways, big shout out to my channel members. I really appreciate everything they do for the channel. These are the members at the Cowboy level. Thank you so much, channel members. You make it possible for me to see a $15 knife at Tractor Supply and be like, you know what? I'm going to scoop that up. For everyone else, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.